Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. It's about afternoon. And welcome to State of the Village 2017. My name is Bobby Nuno, and I am Chairman of the Board for the Bolingbrook Area Chamber of Commerce and owner of Nuno's Complete Car Care. On behalf of the Bolingbrook Chamber and the Board of Directors, I would like to thank the over 700 people that are with us today. Before we get started, I would like to take a minute and introduce our Board of Directors. Directors, when your name is called, please wave or stand to be acknowledged. Our Chairman-elect, Roxanne Conrad from COTG. Treasurer, Neil Smith, Robin Schwartz. Our Secretary, Mike Wagner, Chick-fil-A. Past Chairman, Ray Aguayo, American Family Insurance. Kathy Severson, Amita Adventist Bolingbrook Medical Center. Marie Winnick, BMO Harris Bank. Teresa Kostick, All Line CarStar. Bob Quinn, Quinn, Meadowcraft, and McCullough. Bob Jaskowitz, 12-5 Capital. Mir Ali, the Shamrock Companies. Greg Dover, GAD Group Technologies. And last but not least, Mr. Randy Farber from the Bolingbrook Golf Club. Thank you, board members. Now, it is my pleasure and honor to introduce our keynote speaker for today's event. The longest-serving mayor in Bolingbrook history will be 31 years this November, the Honorable Mayor Roger C. Claar.
Thank you, Bobby. And again, welcome everyone. This is a record crowd. There's some 735 people here. I never thought we'd be at a point where we might outgrow this room, but guess what? We're not going anywhere. It'll just be more crowded. It's my pleasure to introduce the gentleman that's going to lead us in the pledge of the flag. Frank, if you would work your way up here, I'd appreciate it. Frank Cale is a longtime Bolingbrook resident. An active member of the Bolingbrook Seniors and Veterans Organizations, was selected a while back to participate in the Honor Flight Program to Washington, D.C. for his service in the Korean War. While in Washington, he had the opportunity to visit the National World War II Memorial, the Korean War Memorial, the Vietnam War Memorial, the Lincoln Memorial, and he got a little side trip to the National Air and Space Museum. Married to Terry, they've been married for 63 years. A great couple, again, longtime residents, and I asked Frank if he would lead us in the pledge today. Ladies and gentlemen, Frank Cale.
Everybody, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Frank. Next, we'd like to have our invocation and a longtime friend, Pastor Emeritus, since he's retired, of Alpha Missionary Baptist Church. Oh, you're not that spry anymore. What do you know? Pastor Rohr, years ago, and probably 28, 30 years ago, their church was on East Briarcliff Road, and they successfully raised the funds to build a new church on Schmidt Road. And we met that morning at the one church, and then we walked across town to the other church for a groundbreaking ceremony. I've never forgotten that activity. And Bill and I have been friends since. And I'm going to announce this now. He has written a book saying the title is Looking Back in My Life, William Marvin Rohr. After the event, I would encourage you all to take a look at it and perhaps purchase one. They're $10, and he'll be autographing those books for you following the luncheon today. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Pastor Bill Rohr.
Would you join me in prayer? Father God, we thank you for this day and for Mayor Claar and Mrs. Claar and for the board and for everybody here, Lord. You know us all. Hallelujah. And I thank you. Now bless us as we fellowship and keep us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Now, at this time, I'd like to introduce some people, and we'll take a break then for lunch. Again, this is my 31st year. The first one of these we had was at a sports bar called Two Rivers on North Weber Road. It's since been torn down. We then went to the Holiday Inn and moved here when this facility opened. I want to mention at each place or at a table before you leave, there's a map, a new map of Bolingbrook, along with a snapshot of some statistics about the village you might find interesting. Please feel free to take one. There's some other handouts at your table I will comment about later. Something I always do at this event, 734 people there, $10 per ticket is set aside for donations to selected charities. It changes every year to groups I know that can use some assistance. And I'd like to name those charities now if I could. One of them, it's not really a charity, they have a program for young children. And last year I gave them some money, and this year I'd like to set aside $1,000 for the program Ready, Set, Ride, which is located just across the street from Bolingbrook. It's a program for autistic children. Do a fabulous job. Another one I'd like to donate $1,000 to is the Power Connection. If you're from Bolingbrook, you're familiar with the Power Connection. They do a lot for a lot of people. A program that's growing in this town, and I know needs some money to build what's called a pitch. I'd like to donate $1,000 to Mir Ali and the Bolingbrook Cricket Program to help pay for the cost. That was Mir. I'd also like to give $1,000 to Heart Haven Outreach, H2O as it's called. It's a program dealing with young children. The Heart Organization, another program that deals with young people here in Bolingbrook. A new program this year, it's something that's for scholarships for high school kids. It's called the Give Something Back Foundation. And the seventh group, a program's coming up next month. It's Black History Month, and they could use the funds, so $1,000 will go to Black History Month. Now, I have a decision to make. Paul Lombardo, who's with us today, has 4 of the greatest seats at Wrigley Field you could ever imagine. They're on row 3 behind the Cubs dugout. And he is donating those 4 seats with a parking pass specifically to auction off for charitable purposes. And he'd like to, well, have a bit of an auction. Well, he wouldn't. He's going to sit there and enjoy his lunch. Right, Paul? Anyway, who would like to have those 4 tickets? Throw out a number. Yell it out, please. 4,500? What was that number? 2,500. $3,000. $4,000. You know, the tickets probably retail for $250 a piece, or in that neighborhood. More than that? What do they retail for, Paul? 4,500? 4,500. Does anybody else? $5,000 over here. Ben Seidel, Midwest Fuel. 5,500. You negotiate the date. It's one of the games next season. You work out with the owner of the tickets. He's at 5. You're at 6. 6,000. Now this money's going to be pooled with the other 7 I mentioned So they'll all get a little bigger piece than the original 1,000. In fact, they're going to get close to another 1,000. $6,000? 6,500. You thought you shut this off, didn't you, Tom?
Who is that?
Jim Wolf, Night Engineering.
Thank you, Jim.
What was that last price? 6,500. 6,500 going once. 6,500 going twice. Sold to Jim Knight. Jim Wolf of Knight Engineering. I don't want to hear you make the phone call to Springfield. I don't want to hear it. By the way, as you can see, I'm speaking from a podium with the Lions Club logo on the top. I'm a very proud Lion. And I use this podium every year to let you know that the Lions Club is one of the most active and the largest civic clubs in Bolingbrook. The Lions Club does a lot of things with hearing and visually impaired people. But one other thing they did this year is they bought this bicycle for this young man with cerebral palsy. That's what the Lions Club does with the money they raise from you in the golf outing, so please keep supporting them. We have 3 Lions here today. Deb O'Basic, who headed up the project to put park benches behind Village Hall. Beautiful benches honoring the Lions Club 50-year history in Bolingbrook. We have Mr. Lion, Charlie Seipert, and Joe Vineyard, the president. So thank you for what you do, and Rick McHale for what you do for the Lions Club, or for the Bolingbrook. I'd like to thank Bolingbrook Community Television here today to video this for rebroadcast. I'd like to thank Randy Farber, Steve Skinner from Kemper Sports for the great job they do here. Again, remind you about Bill Rohr's book signing afterwards. Representing Dave Olson of the 81st District is Lynn Bila, legislative assistant. I didn't see him, but I'm told John Grueling from Will County CED is here. I'd like to mention Beth Rice was coming. I've not seen her, Will County board member. Don Moran, a Will County board member. And Jackie Traynor, Will County board member. Hugh O'Hare, Will County Governmental League. Mike Hennessy, United Way. Mike Trench, Community Foundation of Will County. Greg Carroll, March of Dimes. And my good friend and former Mayor of Lamont, Rick Kwasniewski, chairman of the PACE board. Other municipal officials with us, we have Joe Kenny, an alderman from Darien. Steve Cherko, Mayor of Naperville. I've not seen him, but he's on the list to be here. John Noak, Mayor of Romeoville. Ruben Pinell, Mayor of West Chicago. Noreen Kubinski, Alderman of West Chicago. And Rachel Osera, Supervisor of Naperville Township. I did not see her either, but I'm told she's here. From the Valley View School Board, Steve Quigley cannot be with us, the president. He's in Springfield, but we have Liz Campbell, Debbie Sikora, and you can stand up and wave, please do. Diane Perro, J.T. Berduris, Dan Police, Victor Zach, and Superintendent Jim Mitchum. From DuPage Township, we have the Supervisor, Bill Mayer, Gene Kelly, Assessor, Trish Stack, Clerk, Patty Holloway, Collector, Alicia Benford, Trustee, Dennis Raga, newly appointed trustee, Mary Pat Oliver, trustee, and Ken Burgess, trustee. Fountaindale Library Board, we have Peg Danhoff, the president, Tom Gilligan, board member, Steve Pordell, Bob Kalnicki, Ruth Newell, and Kathy Spindell. And Paul Mills, the executive director. Others with us today, Dr. Judy Mitchell, Joliet Junior College president. We have a group here from the Operating Union 150, which represent our foreman, and 3 former village trustees. We have Sandy Swinkunis, Joe Morelli, and Gretchen Schroeder. This year, the Grand Marshal for the Pathways Parade was village trustee and Deputy Mayor Leroy Brown. Our male citizen year was Lawrence Cooper, owner of Coop's Den. Cindy Rambo was our female citizen of the year, and Mike and Marcy Cosgrove were our family of the year. I'd also like to introduce some officials of the village. We have Lucas Rickelman, Director of Public Services and Development. Tom Ross, Director of Public Safety. Rosa Calhoun, Director of Finance. Jim Bone, our Village Attorney. Dan Monamici, our Village Commissioner. And James Farrell, our IT Director, is running the PowerPoint this evening. Other individuals, Jerome Strickland, our facilities coordinator, and Matt Eastman, our village planner. Excuse me, we have just a couple more minutes. I want to mention this one person who's announced she's retiring sometime late this spring, and she will be absolutely missed. And that is Reggie Bobakavich. Did I get it right? Close enough? I promised her I'd learn how to do that before she retired. Reggie's worked with me now 22 years. The woman is remarkable. First of all, she's a cancer survivor. She is a special kind of person. She's always there no later than 8:30 in the morning, and she's there until 5 and sometimes well beyond. She's always smiling, even when I'm not. She keeps everyone, an executive, in check, and takes care of us well. You know, in the executive office of Village Hall, we have 3 staff members: Jim Bowen, the village attorney, Reggie, and I. And she does an excellent job taking care of the department. She's again going to retire in the spring. She will very difficult to retire, and I'm going to stop there, but I could get a little emotional about this. She's just, again, a very special lady. I also like to introduce my wife. She's no longer Mrs. Pat Claar. She's Dr. Pat Claar. I got mine when I was I was a young guy, 25 years old. She waited till she retired to get hers. But she just finished about a month ago, got her doctorate from Pepperdine University in California. Very proud of her. She worked very hard, but I'm also glad it's done. And if you really like some excitement, ask her afterwards what the title of her dissertation was, and she could talk to you about it for about maybe an hour. No, it's a very unique project she did, and I hope it will be published. I'd like to mention my daughter, Lindsay Maria, and her husband, and Trevor Smith. We got a family picture that's going to go up here. And, of course, the pride of the Claar family now, our 2-year-old granddaughter, Samantha Joy, who was born on October 26th. And, by the way, there are people suggesting recently at a public function that I'm a full-time mayor and my family lives in California. I don't know what they're trying to infer by that, but Pat and I have lived in the same house here in Bolingbrook for 31 years. My daughter and her husband live in San Diego. I wish they lived here, but on a day like today, it's very difficult to convince them. So I live here, folks. If you hear otherwise, I don't know where it's. Now the village board. I'd like these people to stand up and remain standing when I introduce them to you. First of all, our village clerk, Carol Penning. Oh, back over there. Leroy Brown, Deputy Mayor and Trustee. Where are you, Leroy? Oh, okay. Trustee Rick Morales. Over here. Trustee Pat Shanks. Over here. Trustee Maria Zarate. And a newly appointed trustee, first of all, where's Joe Morelli? Joe, stand up. Joe retired recently. His job took him out of town a lot. He was missing too many meetings, and that's not the character of Joe Morelli. He wants to be at meetings, and he wants to do his job, and consequently he decided to step aside to allow somebody that could be more regular in attendance. Replacing Joe, and Joe, how many years? 16 and a half years. Thank you, Joe, for your service to the village. Replacing Joe was Township Trustee Sheldon Watts. So Village Trustee Sheldon Watts. So where at, Sheldon? Oh, okay. First of all, there's occasionally a question about we should be more diverse in Bolingbrook. You think those trustees are diverse representing Bolingbrook? Absolutely. It's been that way for a long time. Thank you. And they live all over town, not just the west side of town. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your lunch. I'll be back in about half hour to give the formal remarks.
My name is Kevin O'Keefe. I'm the Executive Director of the Bolingbrook Area Chamber of Commerce, and I'd like to welcome you to our annual State of the Village. Thanks for coming out today. I'd like to first of all introduce our presenting sponsors, G&W Electric. G&W Electric, thank you very much. Thank you. Law firm of Robin Schwartz. Thank you. ATI Physical Therapy. And of course, our hosts, Randy, Jill, Jeff, and the Bolingbrook Golf Club. They did a great job, don't they? I have a couple of people who I really want to thank. They're my staff. My right-hand person, Melissa Infacino. Melissa's back there. Melissa's in charge of membership services. Saba Rashid. I like to say I'm in charge, but she tells me what to do. So Saba's back there. Tom Altoff. Tom's in charge of membership development. And my intern over there is a gentleman named Sean O'Keefe, a very bright lad. He's graduated from University of Illinois in May, so in degree in economics. So if anybody has any opportunity, it's a good father. Sean, thank you. I just want to mention a couple of things coming up with us, and then of course we'll have our keynote speaker. Many of you may know we have a program called Toastmasters. I don't know if you know about what Toastmasters are or is. It's a way of helping your employees communicate with each other, help you to do communication through a process. We have a program 2 times a month during lunchtime, the second and fourth Monday, where we have actually people come in and do speeches, little short speeches. So if you have any employees that you feel could help out, whether it be through customer service, through sales presentations, or just interpersonal communication between your employees, have them come check it out. It's only an hour. It's 2 times a month, and it's one of the benefits of being a member of the Chamber. So just consider that. If you have any questions, contact the Chamber of Commerce. A couple other things we have coming up. On March 2nd, we have the Bob Awards, which will be held in this room as well. For those of you, it's the Best of Bolingbrook Awards. What happened during the month of December, a bunch of companies were nominated to win perhaps the award, Bob Award. During the month of January, you answer a questionnaire. It's 15 questions. We used to have to put a binder together. Now we have 15 questions, philanthropic and so forth. So if you've been nominated and you haven't gotten a questionnaire, please contact the office. And then after January 28th, the questionnaire has to be in by January 28th. 5 judges will be judging there, and on the night of March 2nd, you'll become 7 businesses become Bob Award winners, and then we also have the Grand Bob Award, Best of Bolingbrook, and that's Grove Dental. I believe a couple of people from Grove Dental are here today. They are our reigning champions. Where are you at? Oh, maybe not. Oh, there you are over there. Thank you very much. One other quick thing. Our Taste of Bolingbrook this year. Our Taste of Bolingbrook this year is we moved it. It used to be in the middle of July, but the last 2 years it's been 95 degrees with 90% humidity, so it's not been a lot of fun. So we moved it. It's not this year. It's gonna be at the Promenade, but it's gonna be on June 10th and 11th. So it'll be the first weekend after the kids get out of school. It's gonna be held on Saturday and Sunday at the Promenade on June 10th and 11th. And that's all we're gonna do for right now. But at this time, I'd like to introduce Mayor Roger C. Claar.
All right, for openers, I forgot to introduce the park board, oversight on my part. I just flipped the page before I got to it. Denise Allen, President, Sue Bastala, Vice President, Al Trazak, member, Jerry Hicks, member, Melissa McLeod, member, and Ron Osteich, Director. Some good news. During the break, this gentleman over here has built a lot of buildings in town. Number 16 was approved Tuesday night. Northern Builders build nothing but beautiful properties, and I'm telling you, wait till you see the new Best Buy distribution center. It's absolutely gorgeous. You'll see a picture in a moment. Tom Grosecki, president, just said he will match for another set of tickets to $6,500. He didn't take you out, Jim. He's matching it. And Paul Lombardo's agreed to a second game date. In fact, he said if there's a third game date available, if somebody would like to do it. So give us some thought. You can tell me afterwards. We got to move on now. I'm going to start. Every year I mention people that were active in Bolingbrook and are no longer with us, and I just have to mention these names because they just made such a mark on our great village. Ron Shelley was a member of St. Dominic's and a great chef at all the St. Dominic's functions. A friend and a Romeo resident, John Preen Jr., former public defender and former member of the Valley View School Board. Rudy Wallace, a former employee of Bolingbrook High School. Shirley Data, the matriarch of the great Bolingbrook family, the Data family. Robert Nordfleet, one of our early newspapers, event newspaper editor, died. We had our differences, but he was a great editor. Mary Hatfield, wife of former friend Jim Hatfield, a family of volunteers, what they did for scouting. Virgil Banker, a leader in the veteran community, celebrated his 60th anniversary with the American Legion. Don Hedge, some of you may know, did River Woods and St. Andrews Woods. Chris Carley did some retail here in Bolingbrook. Dennis Meehan, a very good friend of mine, who got me involved heavily in the veterans groups, was a Vietnam veteran, served on the Police and Fire Board as chair for 15 years and a Male Citizen of the Year. Gwen Bettig, who started Operation Christmas for people, ran it for years and years and years, and now Lee Bush has picked it up, and we thank him for that. Josh Trotter, a young man, if you met him, you loved him. Died very young at 36 years old this past November, but he did get to see his Cubs win the World Series. Longtime resident Phil Ingstrom, CPA and active member of the Lions Club in Gray Corps, and again, a good friend for 30 years. And very recently, Fred DeWall, former mayor of Romeoville, passed away in December. And we had our differences and we had our battles over land and boundaries, but I always admired him for his love for Romeoville. And again, James Patrick, a former police and fire commissioner. Some announcements I'd like to make. Congratulate Dan and Donna Stevens and Crane, for winning an award for Manitou for their dealership award. Award emblem, been in business 70 years, in the last 30 years here in Bolingbrook. Congratulations to Bob Klein and his family. Bob and Shirley Armstrong, recipients of the Golden Spirit Award from the State Representative Emily McCasey. Paul Lombardo, who again donated the tickets for Boyer Rosine Moving and Storage, located off Frontage Road, was given an award as the top interstate agency, emphasized in putting customers first, as Paul says, contributes the award to his employees who are loyal, hardworking, and willing to go above and beyond all expectations so he can go to the Cub game. Firehouse Subs donated some money to purchase what's called a thermal imaging camera for hot and cold spot tracker and fast attack charger, valued up to $11,690. So we appreciate Firehouse Subs. On December 9th, Mary Reynolds Day was held in Bolingbrook. Mary's a remarkable woman who served for 42 years as manager of the Beacon Ridge Improvement Association, is officially retired. Mary, you're here. Stand up, will you please? Over here. She managed this Beacon Ridge development for 42 years. It's a city of 585 units, over 2,500 people, larger than most towns in the state. Beacon Ridge Drive will also be known as Mary Reynolds Drive in honor of her 42 years of service. She also served on our Plan Commission 18 years and was a Female Citizen of the Year in 1997, and we hope she enjoys her retirement. Sports update. I've mentioned in the past Ariel Massengale and Morgan Tuck, two great basketball players in the three-time state championship girls basketball team. Ariel's playing professional basketball in Europe now, graduated from Tennessee. Morgan graduated from UConn and played on a national championship team and a state championship team 3 times. What a career that was. And she's playing with the Connecticut Suns. Antonio Morrison, team captain of the VHS state championship football team. First was a 4th-round draft pick for the Indianapolis Colts. Greg Williams, another BHS player, is a defensive back coach with the Colts, so he and Antonio are together on that team. Troy Doris, BHS graduate state track champion. Bolingbrook's first Olympian, finished 7th place in the triple jump in Rio. Bolingbrook High School basketball team, if you follow high school basketball, is ranked number 3 in the state. They're 12-0. They're considered to be a very strong contender for the state title. Our girls basketball team is doing well, and I don't normally mention what are called minor sports. These are individual sports, but varsity wrestling. I looked at what they've accomplished this year. They've got 5 players: Jack McDermott, 10-0, Dylan Burkowski, 17-0 in wrestling matches, Gage Goodwin, 17-3, Isaiah Herrera, 17-2, and Brandon White, 16-2. If you're familiar with wrestling, and I was a wrestling coach for 2 years, I know, hard to believe, but I was, at the secondary level, a couple of years ago. Football, Kendall Smith is at Illinois, and John Ivalo is at St. Xavier, earned all state honors. The dance team was qualified for the state finals. The principal, Jason Pascavage, was nominated as the Will County Principal of the Year. And not a sporting thing, but Susanna Mendoza, who was recently elected as the state Comptroller, was a Bolingbrook High School graduate. She was a superstar in soccer while in high school, and now she's our state comptroller. She had her wedding reception in this very club. She lives in the city, of course. Well, not of course, that's where she moved to after she graduated from college. So congratulations to her. Cricket, Mir Ali, who's getting the benefit of some of the money raised here today. So Mir, can we be done now? Are we done? He's president of the Cricket League. This program expanded and continued to expand. This year they added a professional scoreboard, and they're going to be hosting the USA National U14 Cricket Championship this year with 8 teams from across the country. Tollway map, odd thing to talk about, but Tollway had a contest for high schools that designed the cover for their new Tollway map. An amazing display of talented kids from Bolingbrook High School who were awarded first place, second place, third place in the competition across the state. That's got to be a record in itself. Eagle Scouts. We're proud we have 230 Eagle Scouts. The Eagles that received the award this year are listed. I'm proud to have attended over 180 of those courts of honor. It's a tremendous experience. If you ever get a chance to attend an Eagle Court of Honor, please take advantage of that. You know, the young lady, Kayla Burks, who received a Girl Scout Gold Award, which is equivalent to the Eagle Scouts. So we got a very active scouting programs. Tibbet School got a playground this year from Kaboom. If you're not familiar with it, Kaboom is an organization that builds playgrounds in elementary schools around the country. And they provide the equipment and so forth, and volunteers put it in, and they build these things in one day at elementary schools. Bolingbrook app. This year we launched a new Bolingbrook app. We've had several people use it, requesting services, street light outages, power outages, garbage pickup, as well as perks at local restaurants. We're tying in a coupon of sorts to encourage shopping locally. And it's available at your app store. We're also going to be launching today our newly revised website, Bolingbrook.com, which had many, many people involved. Now, we got quotes from professional firms to do our web pages. I'm sure some of you hired professional firms. Quotes range from $25,000 to $75,000. That troubled me, and I thought, you know, we have a lot of talent here in Bolingbrook. So village staff, headed up by James Farrell and others, along with our IT commission, put together our website. I don't know, had to buy a couple of grand worth of software, but other than that, this new web page, you'll see it. It's not fully loaded yet. It's going to take about another week to get all the information transferred onto the website, but we're very proud of it, and it's part of our interest in transparency. And you'll see a certificate here. The village of Bolingbrook is one of 11 communities in the state that has 100% transparency, and they call it the Sunshine Award by the Illinois Policy Institute. We're very proud of that. So all the documents that you want to see are on that webpage. Bike path. Royce Road in north end of town is going to get a new bike path connecting Boyce Road up to Green Road. It's a joint project with the Will County Forest Service and our good friends at Elmer Chicago Stone Quarry. And I attribute this to Kenny Lehner sitting right here. Kenny, come on, stand up. Come on. Come on. I met Kenny probably the first year I was mayor, maybe before that, don't recall, but I appreciate what they've done, and building that 10-foot wide bike path along Royce Road will be a great addition to the north end of Bolingbrook and bike enthusiasts. Bolingbrook community events. The green sheet in front of you lists all of the things that go on in Bolingbrook throughout a year. We have a number of activities, including free concerts every Wednesday night throughout the summer with a joint program with the Park District. The mall has free concerts every Thursday night throughout the summer. And you can see all the functions that take place in Bolingbrook. Again, a tribute to our diversity, but also to activities for people to enjoy. Two things I need to announce that weren't part of my prepared remarks, but I'm doing as a favor to a couple of people, well, favor to one. Bolingbrook will host the inaugural Amita Hospital Health Half Marathon on Sunday, March 19th. The event will be bringing in both local and regional crowd of endurance runners. It's 13.1 miles, so that's half of the 26-mile marathon, and it kicks off, I don't know where, but it ends at Bolingbrook Town Center. Where's it kick off? Oh, it kicks off Town Center and comes back to Gilstown. Okay, good. Anyway, thank you, Mike, for bringing that attention. I hope you can join us. And a young man, well, he used to be, I didn't realize his age, but we have a gentleman here today who has his birthday. Where's Don Sale? Don Sale is 47 years old today, Don. As you can see, Don is a shy young man. Westcom. people have stated that we took our 911 call center out of Bolingbrook, and that is true. What those people don't know that are cynical about it is there was a state law pending, which has since passed, that required all public agencies to consolidate. The state got tired of funding 12 and 13 on-call one centers throughout the state and said, with this technology today, call centers can service many communities out of one location. So we went to Westcom in Plainfield, a facility that was built specifically for 911, signed up with them. It was an absolutely seamless transition, and other communities are consolidating. For example, the state police has 15 districts across the state, and they're going to reduce that to 3, 1 north, central, and south. So it's a way to economize and quit duplicating services everywhere. And it saved us $300,000. Crime rate. Our crime rate's the lowest it's been in 20 years. It fell another 2% this year. It's a 30% decrease over the past decade. Now, I got to tell you, 1/3 of our crimes are for shoplifting. We encourage people to come in from out of town and shop, but not shoplift. But when you have a mall, you attract a lot of people, and that drives up shoplifting problems. We have over 270 retail establishments plus the mall. And again, it attracts people that are going to take a few things now and then, but our crime rate is going down. And that's, people ask why. It's because we have a very strong rent, lease, and inspection program for rental properties and apartments. We have our rental agreements require tenants to sign a zero tolerance. And if violated, the village can take over their property and take it off the rental market. We have successfully attracted new management to all of our apartment complexes who agree with us on crime-free housing and maintaining quality units. We also work very closely with the homeowners associations to assist them. And lastly, and most importantly, we have an excellent police department, including great street officers and investigators who are extremely successful in solving all crimes. As mayor, I'm kept up to speed on crimes that happen. It's not the most pleasant phone call sometimes, but I need to know. And some of the cases are rather complex, and I'm stunned as they unwind that case and make an arrest, sometimes with people several communities away. So congratulations to the police department for what they do. And one other note, just we got a lot of press. By the way, all of our marked squads have dash cameras, and all of our uniformed officers are trained and equipped with tasers. So we're up to speed on those kinds of things. Electronic recycling, the idea of recycling old TVs and other items was disrupted this past year when Will County closed their drop-off center. We scrambled on what to do with those, and it's amazing how many TVs piled up in a matter of about a month. So we worked with Lee Bransman, the president of Groot, our refuse hauler. They put together a contract, and actually it's better now than it was because now you simply call Groot. They will pick it up off your driveway. You don't have to drive it across town. So thank you to Mr. Bransman on that. Emerald ash borer. To date, we've cut down 9,000 emerald ash trees and replanted 6,000 new trees. It's cost the village over $5 million, and unfortunately, after we cut down another anticipated 2,000 trees and replant an additional 5,000 trees, we'll have the same number of trees we had before, but we'll be short $7 million to pay for all that. It's unfortunate. One of my critics has suggested anonymously, of course, through internet postings and so forth, that the ash tree problem was my fault. You know, it's like they cut down 700,000 trees across the state, and apparently that's my fault. Rocket Ice Arena. There's a sheet in front of you that has details about the Rocket Ice Arena. That's in my opinion, one of my greatest accomplishments as mayor. We gave land to the park districts every year to build a swimming pool. They in fact built it. It failed. They closed it. They gave us back the land, and we had a several $1 million building sitting there empty, which was scheduled to go torn down and go to a landfill. I thought that was a tremendous waste of people's taxpayer money to build a swimming pool, and we put out a prospectus hoping people would buy it. A little over a year later, a guy came forward named Ed Schrader, bought it, put in $2.6 million himself to put in a single sheet of ice. Since then has expanded with a second sheet of ice costing over $6 million, and it's been a very successful function, brought thousands of people to town. Eddie Olczyk, Hall of Famers, been there several times. Bobby Hull was there this past November. There's many tournaments with numerous hotel stays, sometimes over 300 families in attendance. The Blackhawks have their little Blackhawks thing at Rocket Ice again this year. Don't know what it is, but it's the Blackhawks sponsoring it. And the USA Warriors in Washington, D.C. have a charity game there this Friday night, and over the weekend, we'll be practicing with the Chicago Blackhawks at the United Center. Well, thank you, Ed, for what you've done. By the way, I've been honored to drop the puck a couple of times at the events over there. You need to move fast after you drop that puck. And I didn't move quite so fast. You know how hard it is to stand up when you're lying on a sheet of ice? Awkward. Bolingbrook's Claar International Airport. The village some years ago bought the 77-acre Claar Airport site. We preserved it as an airport. The gentleman that owned it put it up for sale. He was offered $13 million for it. We had an offer, a right of refusal. Personally, I didn't think we needed another 77 acres of homes and another strip mall in front of it on Weber Road in Boughton. And I thought the airport would be a good investment. We bought it. So we do have some debt for that airport, but there's over 100 planes based at Claar. Between 40 and 50 people are employed there. Got a great restaurant named Charlie's, and there's a whole lot of things that go on there that people don't know. For example, they got flying doctors based there to fly organ transplants around the country, around the area. Airport's got the Young Eagles program for young people. They got the Civil Air Patrol located there with other law enforcement agencies. The charter companies there flies people commercially throughout the area. They have the cavalcade of planes every year. It draws 20,000 people to a weekend-long airport show. They have the Illinois Aviation Museum for young people to build, and now they're working with the Navy to rebuild 3 planes. It's been involved in various news, movies, TV shows, and commercials, as well as magazine advertisements. So it's a great plus to our community, and we're very proud of it. Property taxes. People are running around saying that some people pay 11% property taxes, others pay 9%, and some businesses pay 0. Is there anybody here pay 0 property taxes? Apparently that's not true either. We do not give tax breaks. Any kind of tax breaks, certainly not lucrative tax breaks, as some people are suggesting. There are no businesses that pay nothing. All residents and businesses pay 9% of their bill goes to property taxes, goes to the village out of the 100% property tax bill. There are 4 subdivisions that have special service areas, so you're familiar with it. They have a property tax that's a little different because part of their home price was built into the property tax systems at their agreement. And of course, there are people who live in 5 different school districts in Bolingbrook, so that makes some difference too. But again, there are no tax breaks. When I came in office, the village property tax bill, 22% of it came to the village. It's down to just a little shy of 10%. And that's, we got away from that to allow the school districts and park districts and library districts to have funds to provide those great programs. Our debt. Debt is a big part of municipal government. No question about it. And we have debt. The village is 51 years old, and we made a decision years ago to build the infrastructure needed to support the future growth in this community rather than create a situation like the county did with Weber Road Bridge. We put it in ahead of the growth so that businesses come here and move freely about the town as well as our residents. The village built Remington Boulevard and Crossroads Parkway, which paralleled 55, which attracted all these great businesses we have. We now have 35 million square foot of industrial, office, and manufacturing buildings. That is a tremendous number. And when we came into office, there was 115,000 square feet. Now 35 million, it built out, it'll be 40. For example, thank you. Another example, we had 138 retention bonds on the east side of town, which required maintenance, a liability nightmare, and I didn't want to do that anymore. So we had a study done on this side of town to build a series of lakes, 7 of them. Most of them are on this property right here. It's a stormwater plant for 4,000 acres. It's much more beautiful, and it's much easier to maintain, and it did cost some money. There's no question about that. We're getting fees back to pay for that as homes sell in that 4,000 acre parcel. The interchange work at Boughton and 355 for the mall, we did that, and we realigned Weber Road. For those of you who've been around a while, it used to come to a T intersection. Now it's a free flow, which again attracted a considerable amount of retail. Paying for that created debt. We have a plan at Village Hall, if you want to see a copy of it. which shows the revenue sources to pay off that debt, and our bond firms are comfortable, very comfortable with it and know about it. Our bond rating was reduced May 1 to A2 this year. That was not driven by our debt. That was driven by the problem that all municipalities across Illinois and frankly across the United States have in meeting the payroll for public pensions. I have no problem with people getting public pensions, but by state law, the General Assembly requires us to set aside 3% of salary for public pensions. Our revenues aren't meeting 3%, so the obligation on those pensions continues to grow. You probably know, and some of you may be involved, but Social Security is only going up 0.3% this year. That's the cost of living. But our continuing employment, the aging community with more police and fire retiring, their payroll goes up 3% a year. Again, I don't object to getting it, but the system can't sustain itself. And Springfield is doing little, if anything, about it. 31 communities in suburban Chicago had their bond ratings dropped, including Rosemont, Schaumburg, Evanston, Oak Park, DeKalb, Skokie, and so forth. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice, sorry. That doesn't happen often. Now I got. The library, parks, and schools. I'm very proud to be mayor of this town. We have fabulous facilities, award-winning township, a beautiful park district, a beautiful new library, a high school comparable to most any, and of course, great public services and infrastructure, a mall, a hospital, airport, the list goes on and on. There are those who would suggest that that would have happened regardless, that I had nothing to do with it, and there's no question, certainly some of it would have. But people involved in the development know that somebody has to be in charge. It takes the efforts of a lot of people in planning, includes numerous elected officials from all the taxing bodies and hundreds of volunteers. This village has had for a very long time a very strong school and park formula. So every home that's built, a portion set aside for the school district and park district. In fact, most of the land the park district had was donated by home builders at the requirement of our school park donation formula, as was the funds collected given to the school for school sites and operational costs. It's a strong policy. We're proud of it. It's been in place since probably 1977, 78, and it's never been decreased. In fact, if anything, it's gone up. Anyway, the reason I did it was point out that I didn't support the new library was built. Now, the people suggesting I didn't support the new library attached an article which explains why I didn't. I wanted, instead of building one library on the east side of town or close to the center, I wanted to build out here as we grew a branch. I'm a big believer in neighborhood schools, neighborhood parks, and with the library. I think it's great to see kids walking to the library or riding their bicycle to the library. And it's a beautiful building we have, but a branch out on the west side where our growth was something I wanted to see. Well, the referendum passed to build one library. I jumped on board, and Peg Danoff, the president of the library, will tell you I immediately went to work to get that one library built. But again, I was just pushing for a west side library instead of just one. A lot of new things coming to town this year. Oh, the golf course. Got to mention the golf course. This golf course opened in 2002, continues to be very successful thanks to Kemper Sports. In this building, there have been over 1,700 weddings during that time. They do between 125 and 50 weddings a year, sometimes 5 and 6 in one weekend. We've had over 1,000 golf outings, including Bo Jackson's Celebrity Charity Golf Outing, United Cerebral Palsy, Muscular Dystrophy, United Way, American Cancer Society, AM 560 Operation for the Troops, and the St. Baldrick's fundraising program. I'd like to thank Lieutenant Rich Hilliard, who's with us today from the police department, for helping sponsor the St. Baldrick's program. We give a particular shout out to his wife because she recently got an award for the foresight and expanding career awareness in the schools. It's a great family. They're both obviously both of their residents. So thank you, Rich and Melissa, for what you do. These golf outings bring hundreds of thousands of people to our town who stay in our hotels, buy our gas, shop in our stores, and eat in our restaurants. American Lake Water. Illinois American Water. In 2001, the board entered an agreement with Citizens Utilities to bring lake water to Bolingbrook and quit using shallow wells. Shortly thereafter, Citizens was sold to Illinois American. They immediately filed for a rate increase with the Illinois Commerce Commission, and they've done so 5 times since 2001. It's unfortunate, our rates are high, and we're trying to condemn them. It's going through a very slow process. They continue to file nuisance objections to everything we do in court, but it's finally, hopefully, going to get to court this year. The Northern Illinois Water Agency consists of the following villages: Bolingbrook, Homer Glen, Lamont, Romeoville, and Woodridge have all joined together to make that acquisition. Promenade Apartments. Honey's here. Honey, Camille's not here, is he? Oh, Camille's here. Hey, wake up. The gentleman with the glasses on his forehead, you can't see him, I know, bought the apartments, used to be called Innsbruck, and it was International Village before that, a long time ago, about 500 units, 475, I think, actually. They bought that complex. It was a problem for the school system. It was a problem for our police. It was just generally a nuisance apartment complex. They bought it and made the commitment they were going to totally rehab every apartment. I mentioned this again last year, but they're both with us today. They're rehabbing every apartment. They put on balconies. They're building 135 garages. They've resurfaced all the streets. They've raised their rents, of course, to compensate for all that, but it's totally cleaned up the place. They have zero tolerance. So thank you, Hani and Camille. We have another apartment complex under construction south of James Avenue. It's called the Brook. They wanted to call it the Promenade, but the name was already taken. Anyway, it's called the Brook. It's opening in St. James Avenue. It'll start leasing soon. It's a Class A apartment building, 288 units. The rents will range from $1,500 to $2,400 a month. So it's kind of a high-end apartment complex, but we need that in this area. It's a great location by the mall and 355. On Weber Road, just north of the Jewel and the storage facility, there's an empty piece of land that's been sitting there for forever. CA Ventures has purchased that, and it's going through the system as we speak to build a 120-unit senior living facility. 75% of the units will be for assisted living, 25% for memory care. The common areas will include a dining room, movie theater, salon and spa, chapel, library, and lounge. And again, it's targeted to start this spring. The location is permanent, or really good. In fact, it's right between Bolingbrook and Naperville, so it should get a lot of activity. Housing, Americana Estates, located at the south end of this beautiful golf club, has been a very good year. In the past several months, over 16 of the lots have been sold, and most have homes built or under construction. In total, 63 lots have now been sold. The selling price of the homes is a little over $500,000. There's one under construction for almost $1.3 million. So what we plan to go there is coming to fruition. We suffered through the 2005 recession, and things are coming back. And I was talking to a realtor yesterday who said Bolingbrook has is known as a great place to build homes and is growing annually. This year we had 40 home permits. We expect that to increase soon. Hart's Construction, headed up by Don Hart's, is building the Bella Vista subdivision, townhomes on the intersection of Hassert and Weber. They're selling units at a very brisk rate. The prices range from $270,000 to $315,000. They're now in the final stages of closing on the empty lot across from Portillo's, 53 in Boughton, and they're going to build 79 townhome units there. Those prices will range from at least $270,000 to over $315,000. So the empty field that people complained about is a home for coyotes and debris and everything else will now be a beautiful townhome complex. Hotels, 103 residence inns nearing completion. Should be opening this summer with additional 303 rooms. We were recently notified that the Fairfield Inn and Suites is going to build another hotel of 108 rooms on north of Remington on Fernwood Drive. That's going to mean at the end of that second hotel we will have in Bolingbrook 1,033 hotel rooms. And some of you in here remember when we didn't have any. And those hotels are filled 100% quite often. Excuse me. I got a comment about Tony Greathouse. She's with us today. Tony and I have been working together for over a year now doing different things. She's put together a number of things which we've published and put in hotels, maps of Bolingbrook, places to go, places to volunteer, places to give, different things going on in services, and a nice restaurant map that's put in all the hotels for people to find a place to go for lunch and dinner. So I would thank Tony for what she's doing. And again, that's a project we have with Sue Hospital. We have BioLife Plasma Services building a building on Quadrangle, and it's going to start construction this spring. We have Smart Choice MRI facility that's moved in. When we got the hospital, we knew it'd bring medical service. I couldn't even start the list, the number of practices that we have now, virtually everything you need right here in Bolingbrook. You don't have to drive out of town like you used to, like in Naperville. Sorry, Steve. The Promenade Mall is doing very well. Sales are up. Our Macy's was up. So you read about the Macy's stores closing, not this one. Sales at Bass Pro, Macy's, all the stores were up over 3%. Traffic was up 6%, and the Tom Castanoli, the general manager, is doing a great job. Restaurants, we have a new place at the old Checkers building on Boughton Road. It's been closed for 10 years. The guys, the people that own the center have renovated it, and there's a man moving in there. He's with us today. It's going to be called the Chicken Run. Kind of sounds like a sports bar to me. Anyway, it's going to open sometime in the next 2 or 3 weeks. We'd like to actually see the lights back on that building. The La Hacienda restaurant on on Weber Road at Veterans has been closed for some time. That's in the process of being bought. It'll be torn down and rebuilt with a new 3-unit retail area and a restaurant based out of Arkansas. It's a franchise out of Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, called Slim Chickens. It'll be moving. It's a family chicken restaurant, and there's 3 others in the state of Illinois. Bramware's closed a few years ago, but we're in the process of negotiating with another restaurant to go in there. Hopefully we'll have announcements soon. The Tubo Sushi opened this past year at Hassler Weber. If you like sushi, got great sushi. Empty storefronts, we're very close to announcing the user for the Sports Authority on West Boughton Road. I'm not at liberty to say who it is just yet, but they sell a lot of coats. Michael's is moving into the vacant Staples building and should be open in the next 30 to 45 days. You know, it's interesting about retail. It's interesting to deal with retailers, industrial people, whatever, but retailers are just interesting how they approach things. And Michael's has been in Bolingbrook 2 other times before. They were here and left. They came back here and left again. And now they're here again. So they move with the market, and we're glad they're coming back. Corner Lee Lane at 53, there's going to be a 7,000 square foot retail development going in with a restaurant. Jet Bright Car Wash should be opening, Dave? February. Which fits into a plan. We have a car wash Domark on Weber Road. We have Vicks on 53, and now we'll have one on the east side at Jet Bright. Tony's Fresh Market, oh, was that great this year. That Food for Less store was empty for so long. If you haven't been in it, and I know it's hard to describe a grocery store, it's really very attractive and beautiful, but it is. I really enjoy going in there. Well, I enjoy going into all the stores in Bolingbrook, but I enjoy going to this Tony's. I was in there actually a couple days ago. They have over 200 employees, open in October. I want to thank Tony and Dominic for doing it. So if you get it looking for a place to shop, it's worth a walk through. Checkers moved to an empty Brown's Chicken building. Hetman Restaurant moved to the old Rancho Say building. Pizza Mia opened a carry-out pizza place with chicken and Italian food on Weber Road. Robin Schwartz, the village attorneys. We told you had to move into town, didn't we? Anyway, they moved into the Promenade on the ops building upstairs. Emerson Tile, located at Crossroads Parkway, opened. The Aloft Hotel did a total in-house resident renovation. We have a hip-hop fit studio opened up. We also have the 26 Dance and Fitness Studio opened up. IKEA remodeled their restaurant. Mark Hayes Funeral and Cremation Services opened up. Yep, that's a hearse behind me. That was a first. And I did inquire. I said, there's nobody in there, is there? Ready, Set, Ride. Giving some money to them. Here they are. Non-for-profit therapeutic riding stable for special needs youth. You can't go there without reaching your pocket and get some money out. They do a fabulous job. It's run by volunteers, but horses eat a lot of hay. Hay ain't free. So that's where some of the money is going today to help support that. So there's their ribbon cutting, and that's me. They told me that was Mr. Ed, so I was talking. Kovo Greek Street Restaurant moved into the old Vegas Five Guys and doing a great job. Rockler Woodworking and Hardware opened an 8,000 square facility. The Range of 355 opened up next to Ashley Furniture on Woodward Avenue, south of Boughton Road, the full-service gun range. This year, too, you know, I didn't get any concerns about the gun range. A couple people questioned it, but I said, you know, with concealed carry and what happens in this country, there are people that want those activities, and I'd rather see people trained the right way, as these people do. Larry Budnick and Jay White are both here with us today. It's a 19,000 square foot building offering 16 firing ranges. They offer training on gun safety, the use of firearms, including concealed carry certification. They also provide training for law enforcement and EMS and fire personnel. They've had over 70,000 visitors, so we like what they're doing and wish them well. Dunkin' Donuts opened up the location on Joliet Road. Jewel Osco recently did a complete remodel of their store. Now, Steve Jericho, Mayor of Naperville, why is it that you get the Wienermobile before we do? You know, he gets the Cubs World Series trophy. I'm working on it, but he gets it first. Then he gets the Wienermobile first. Did you get your picture taken with Wienermobile? I went out there, as evident, and we talked to the young lady I'm with there. They have 6 Wienermobiles throughout the country in 6 different regions. And her job is to drive around this region at different stores. And they call themselves hot doggers. The Matt Nail Salon opened up. Honey Jam changed ownership and whole new menu. Stop in and try it. It's right behind Portillo's and Pastor Roar. I meet every year with all the pastors, and I host the one coming up in February 16th. I know you're retired, but come by. At a minimum, you get a free breakfast. Next, we have Bolingbrook Bank and Trust. Moved into what used to be a closed KFC. It was torn down and built a new building. And Diana has assured me that porta potty will go away before they open. They do have indoor plumbing. In the handouts, you'll see the jobs created. We've had over 36,000 jobs created in the last several years. The top 30 employers, I put together a list of the top 30 employers in front of you. On the back side, you'll see the corporate headquarters we have here in Bolingbrook. We're very proud of that. It's great for economic development. It's further economic development. It's great for our taxing bodies, and we appreciate your investment in town. G&W Electric is here with us today. They have expanded. They have over 444 employees. It's their corporate headquarters. And John Mueller, the CEO, told me they're going to a second shift because of the orders they're receiving. They make medium and high voltage equipment. Hendrickson's, which produces and designs truck suspensions, have 29 locations nationwide. They bought 50 acres across from a new apartment complex on Janes. They're going to employ 175 people with an average salary of $95,000. Office and research, no manufacturing. They expect to have 400 employees in that facility in 10 years. It's going to be a beautiful facility backing up to 355. ATI, which has over 700 units now throughout the country, bought the empty 3-story office building on Remington. It's been vacant for years. They're in the process of putting a new facade on it, all new windows, doing interior work. They're going to be moving employees in there, and their plans are to build a second corresponding building on the same property in the future. I congratulate Greg Steele and Dylan Bates for doing a fabulous job. Whitronics is with us today. Larry Jordan, the president, a resident who's built a fine company. He got the Governor's Export Award this year. They make a product, and if I'm not right, don't correct me now. It's similar to a black box for an airplane, only it's sort of trains. And they can track in real time trains that travel throughout the world from their location or wherever you want that location to be. And they let you know what's going on. Toronto Bakery, Anthony Toronto was supposed to be here today, but they're going to more than double their bakery facility on the east side of town off Joliet Road, which is going to bring in another 100 employees. WeatherTech, they're also with us today, but David McNeil could not be with us today, but he's got a table here. They're in the process of finishing another new building. That's not the best picture. It's a side view, but it's a very attractive building. They bought the building and are adding 35,000 square feet to it. There are at least 2 more buildings. His Christmas light display was fabulous. It was like North Michigan Avenue. And you can see the buildings he has in town now, with 2 more coming. Buy those mats. Swap.com is one of the largest retail internet clothing consignment stores. They have over 350 employees, 270 employees here in town. Bay State Milling is expanding with 18,000 square foot on the east side of town. They supply Panera, McDonald's, and Campbell Soups with ingredients. ComputerShare, an Australian-based company, is leasing 45,000 square feet. They provide printing and host internet postings for the financial services sector. Perkins Manufacturing, moved their corporate headquarters here, and they make hydraulic lift arms for the refuse industry. Vision Integrated Graphics is here, and they have a marketing consulting company on Territorial with 250 employees. 580 Crossroads, recently acquired by the Henley Corporation, met with them this last week. Chinese-based company. This will be their United States headquarters and office, no manufacturing. Their products are sold in 20 countries. Fresh Time Farmers Market came here with 317,000 square foot building for the distribution center. Interesting statistic, Fresh Time is owned 49% by the Meyer stores. Molex took down 219,000 square feet on Veterans Parkway. Valid Corporation, based in Brazil, 250,000 square feet. Their headquarters in Rio. The Room Place moved into 84,000 square feet on the east side of town. The Tallgrass Corporate Center, which had 700 employees when it was Tel Labs, now has 1,914 employees. Alta is our biggest tenant. Alta Stores, Provena Health, President's Health, Quad Graphics, and Amita Health, 1,900 employees. Fountain Square. Jim McShane is with us today. He's sitting right here. Jim, stand up, please. The first industrial building in Bolingbrook was built. He built it for Trammell Crow. That was back in 1987 or 1988. He's still building here. He developed the property across the hospital called Fountain Square. I like fountains. Fortunately, they do too. And if you drive by there in the summertime, they have like 8 fountains in all their ponds and waterways around the development. And I was told this morning you've now signed 2 leases in Fountain Square, so good luck with that. Anyway, he's a great guy, but I also want to mention he was recognized recently in Chicago by the Urban Land Institute for his Lifetime Achievement Award for his contribution to the Chicago real estate community, his philanthropic endeavors, and for my opinion, his investment in Bolingbrook. Thank you, Jim. There's a stoplight at Weber Road at St. James Parkway off Joliet Road has been held up at the budget negotiations in Springfield. I'm sorry for that, it's embarrassing, but Springfield doesn't seem to be able to do anything. And once they get that squared away, that stoplight again is much desperately needed for the expansion of Toronto Bakery and other businesses there. I-55-126, we're still working with Romeoville and Plainfield about an interchange there, but unfortunately that's probably going to be a ways off. The Weber Road project will hopefully put out for bid soon. We thought it was going to be January. We're now told it's going to be later in the spring. It's been delayed numerous times. Again, probably requires budget approval out of Springfield. It's going to be a divergent diamond interchange. You have drawings at your place to show you what that is. It's going to be a nightmare when they're under construction. But when it's done, it's probably going to take close to 2 years. It'd be a great improvement. The idea for the diverging diamond came from Mike Gray, who was vacationing in Missouri. He brought the idea to me. We took it to Senator A.J. Mahomey at the time. He took it to IDOT. Now there's one open in Naperville. You get the first one again. Naper Boulevard 98 is a diverging diamond interchange if you want to see what it's like. The Mary Kelly Farm. Jim Bone and I never thought we'd see the Mary Kelly Farm develop. It's just east here. It's the empty parcel you pass coming to the club. It's a little over 300 acres. It'll be a mixed-use development. The eastern portion will be office industrial park, and it's some beautiful buildings. It's being developed by Tom Grasecki, the gentleman that's going to match the Cub tickets, $6,500. Thank you again, Tom. Northern Builders, as I said, we approved Tuesday night their 16th building in town. So they're great, great people to work with. And the building he's building up, it's opening soon, is the Best Buy distribution building. And I think we got a picture of it. Oh, the residential is going to have the same covenants as Americana State. Plainfield Schools opens a 40-acre parcel, which they're probably not going to build a school there, but it will become residential. So we need to see the Best Buy building. I'm being told it's coming. It's not coming? Sorry. It's beautiful. Capital projects. This is a little complicated. In addition, in order to build these projects widening Rodeo Drive from here to Dalton, we're going to be putting in what's called a roundabout. That is a roundabout. No stop. You just traffic keeps flowing. They're all over the East Coast. They're all over Europe. I wish we'd have started doing them years ago. They're going to widen Rodeo from that intersection east. Then in goes the interchange, or the intersection. Then we're going to be extending King Road north to Astor Boulevard. Then we're going to also put in King Road south when the residential goes. And then we're going to widen, next slide, please. Those are all the roads that will be built in and around the golf course. The little star is where you are right now. That will complete the roads in Bolingbrook. The only road left we'll have to do will be Royce Road and north into town. But that's going to greatly improve traffic flow with widened roadways, intersections, and signalized intersections. Now, in closing, a couple things I want to say, and bear with me. I serve as the mayor. I'm a full-time mayor. By state law, I am also the liquor commissioner. I've been that since I became a full-time mayor. Well, actually, since I became a mayor, even part-time. We, shortly afterwards, created a separate liquor commissioner and tobacco commissioner spot. In many places, such as Naperville, they assign the liquor responsibility to a commission. You're still liquor commissioner, aren't you, Steve? That's by law. Actually, in some places, people assign it, and it's often called patronage because they give it to a friend of theirs because it's a small paying job. I have chose to be liquor commissioner and continue liquor commissioner because appointed commissioners are not responsible, or excuse me, they're not accountable to the public. I am. And we take liquor commission and tobacco commissioner very seriously. Also, as a full-time mayor, when we created the full-time mayor spot, we got rid of the village administrator spot. So I do what the village administrator does, frankly, at a greatly reduced salary from what the village administrator would make. In closing, I'd like to say we've covered a lot of material today. Bolingbrook in 2017 is considered one of the premier places to do business. I've been told that by numerous people, many of whom are here today. We're a great location for retail, a great selection of houses from starter homes to now well over $1 million. We're diverse in our church community, our residential community, our business community, our retail community, and our schools, public and private. Equally important, we're diverse in our village board, appointed members of our boards and commissions. That is something we worked very hard to maintain and have done so for 30 years. We just finished getting through a national election, which divided this country a great deal. It was a wild election, and both sides often ran fast and loose with the facts. Someone told me once in elections, honesty is the first thing to fall by the wayside. And unfortunately, that's true. We're now looking at a village election for school, park, library, township. I just want to urge all the candidates to be careful what they say and do. Locally, elections have always been nonpartisan. We're seeing an effort now for Chicago politics coming to Bolingbrook, which I just detest. I like local elections with local people and local parties. We're working very hard to maintain positive elections. I have never run a negative election. I have always put statements that I back up with proof. Things such as saying there's lucrative tax breaks is just wrong. There's a sheet that every candidate signs, which they outline. I realize you can't read it where you're sitting. But there's several things every candidate has to sign that they will not misrepresent the truth. And I ask all candidates to avoid misrepresenting the truth. I just saw this morning that an anonymous person, somebody bought www.rogerclair.com. They hijacked my name, and when you click on that page, it endorses my opponent. Now, that is about as childish as you can get. And they also paid more. Thank you. They also paid more so they could remain anonymous. Now, we're not talking about choosing up sides for a Saturday afternoon softball game, folks. This is serious business. We're 76,000 people, and there's a lot going on that requires a lot of attention. And people who want to play those kind of games, I don't think belong in public service. There are rules that require public disclosure when you put out campaign material. And there's several anonymous pages out there now being very critical, and that's just wrong. I've never ran any campaign, as I said. I don't plan to start. With that being said, thank you all for coming. I know it runs a little long. A lot of stuff going on in this town. But thank you for coming. I want to wish you all a very successful new year. And with that, I'm done. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Right in. Drive safe. It is still slickery out there, although our public works people have done a fine job in Bolingbrook.